So in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on another series from Nickelodeon that I really did enjoy as a kid. And I wanted to talk about Fairly OddParents today because I do eventually plan on making a Jimmy Neutron video. And then in the near future, I plan on making a Jimmy Timmy Power Hour video. So I thought if I structured the video like this, where I talked about Fairly OddParents first, then I talked about Jimmy Neutron, then I could eventually plan out that video talking about the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, because I definitely want to give my thoughts on that. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that coming in the near future on the channel. But yeah, like I said, I want to give my thoughts on Fairly OddParents. So pretty much I'll be going over how I got into the Fairly OddParents and just giving my overall thoughts and how I personally feel about the series. So when it comes to like how I got into Fairly OddParents, I don't think there's like any special story. I honestly believe it was probably me just searching for things to watch on the television, and then all of a sudden I came across this show. I ended up watching it, and then I got addicted to it, and I just watched all the episodes, watched all the TV specials or movies that came out for it, and I just had a really good time watching it. So that's pretty much like when it comes to like a story of how I got into it, that's pretty much the story. There's like no special story. It's just, okay, I found out about the show one day I was watching TV. That's all. So when it comes to like my overall thoughts on the series, that's the meat and potatoes of this video, because there's a lot of things I do want to share when it comes to my overall thoughts on the Fairly OddParents. So let's talk about Timmy Turner first. Timmy Turner, I have to say, looking back at it, especially as an adult, I honestly felt really bad for this character. And the reason why I say this is because growing up as a kid, obviously I didn't really notice it at first because I was just paying attention of what was going on in the show. So if anything flashy caught my attention as I was watching the show, that's mainly what I was looking at. I wasn't really going in depth trying to analyze every single thing coming out of Fairly OddParents as a kid, because you don't really expect that as a kid. But one of the things I do know looking back at it now, it's like I just said, I felt really bad for Timmy Turner, because if you look at Timmy Turner when you first get introduced to his character, it honestly seems like nobody ever pays attention to him at home. Like, you have his parents, obviously he has a mother and a father, so it's not like he doesn't have any parents at home. And yes, maybe his parents come in his room every so often to start a conversation with him, but for the most part they're just going out doing whatever, and then they leave his babysitter Vicky there to babysit him. And she just treats him like crap. She has him do dishes. She has him do things you would expect a babysitter to do to maintain the house when the parents are gone. So Vicky wasn't really the best person when it came to having somebody that Timmy could associate with, because those two didn't get along at all. And Vicky was just very vicious. So looking back at it, I'm like, damn, dude, like Timmy really had it rough as a kid, where his family didn't really interact with him when it came to like his mother and father, except a few moments, as I said, every so often. But for the most part, they were gone, and you didn't really see them unless there was like a special episode dedicated to one of the parents where Timmy was like following his dad. Like I remember there's like a Boy Scouts episode where Timmy was like with his dad and everything like that. Like, yes, we've had episodes like that, but for the most part, they're just absent. So it made me feel bad, as I mentioned, because I'm like, damn, dude, like that's rough. Like that is definitely like hard to like grow up as a kid where it honestly feels like nobody's there for you. So that's why I'm happy that Cosmo and Wanda came into his life, because you would think they would look at Timmy and be like, damn, this kid really needs a friend. He needs people to talk to. And you didn't think that Timmy would wake up one day and imagine that the two goldfish in his room would actually become his Fairly Godparents. Nobody would have ever imagined something like that. So the fact that Timmy had the opportunity to meet Cosmo and Wanda, and Cosmo and Wanda explained who they were to Timmy, you were able to see like a new light come into Timmy's life, where things seemed a lot more enjoyable, where he wasn't always bored all the time and sitting in his room. He can actually do things with Cosmo and Wanda. He can grant any wish that he wanted, as long as it followed the rules when it came to wishes to be granted, because there were restrictions when it came to certain rules in the show. But as long as Cosmo and Wanda were there, you know, Timmy was able to actually enjoy life. And for that, you know, I was very happy because I wanted to see Timmy smile. I wanted to see Timmy have a lot of fun. So I was really happy that Timmy met Cosmo and Wanda for that very reason, so they can give him that spark that he definitely deserved because he didn't really have anything at the time. So when it comes to like Timmy and Cosmo and Wanda's relationship, that's probably like one of the things that I loved the most in Fairly OddParents, was just seeing their relationship throughout the show. And then when you had Poof introduced to us later on in the show, which was pretty much Cosmo and Wanda's son, you know, it was a nice mixture there, because then you could see the dynamic between Timmy and Poof. You could see, you know, Timmy pretty much has like a little brother that he's looking after, and it was just pretty funny seeing Cosmo have the baby overall. But it was just like a nice little family. It's kind of like, you know, a family that Timmy always wanted. It's right in front of him, and he could always like be around them and have fun at all times. So that definitely put a big smile on my face. So when it comes to Vicky, as I mentioned, was very vicious. Vicky, honestly, the best way to say it, she was a bitch. I'm just gonna call her that because that's honestly like the best way to describe her. Because whenever she came over Timmy's house, you know, she wasn't really responsible, where she was actually following what his parents said, where she was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna make sure everything's in order when you come home. Like, no, Vicky never did anything like that. She just did whatever she wanted. So being around Vicky, you know, it made you feel really uncomfortable because you never really knew what to expect from her. Like, she can just jump out at you at any time. She can like bite you or whatever the case may be. That's just how Vicky was. She was just very unpredictable. You could never predict what Vicky could do. And I remember there was actually a song in the show that was like Icky Vicky that came out, and it was a very catchy song, by the way. But that was probably like the best way to really describe Vicky, because she was very icky and she was just a very mean person. Was she enjoyable as a character? Sure. But she was very mean, especially when it came to Timmy, because her and Timmy, the best way to look at it, it's kind of like little brother and big sister. That's the sort of dynamic that they had. So if you ever saw like a big sister interacting with a little brother and they used to get into fights all the time and they started hollering at one another, that's honestly the best way to describe the kind of relationship that him and Vicky had. And then when it came to like other characters that were introduced into the show, which I will talk about, Trixie Tang, which happened to be Timmy's love interest in the show, because Timmy had a crush on Trixie Tang when he was at school, and he was always trying to find the courage to talk to her. And there were some good moments that Timmy and Trixie shared throughout the show. Like, I'm not going to say that there wasn't any good moments, because there was. And I also recall that there was like this one episode where Trixie Tang was actually like really into Timmy at the time. And she was always repeating to Timmy like, oh, tell me I'm pretty, tell me I'm pretty. Like, she just wanted like all that attention from Timmy. And that just really showed you like that side of Trixie for the time being. When it came to that episode, of course, that, you know, Trixie can be a little crazy at times. Like, she can be very unpredictable. Like, you can't really predict what she's going to do as well. But for the most part, Trixie, best way to describe her, she's that typical popular girl at school that's always hanging out with the other popular kids. You never really saw her interacting with anybody else like beneath her. That's just the best way to describe Trixie. Then you also had like her friend, I don't remember her name on the top of my head, but you also had her friend, which was the blonde girl, and she was the one that actually had a thing for Timmy, which was pretty funny to find out. And she was also a very crazy one as well, which, now that I'm thinking about it, Timmy actually attracts a lot of crazy chicks. Never noticed that until now, but it seems like he attracted a lot of crazy chicks in his life. But when it comes to like characters overall from Fairly OddParents, you know, they're very enjoyable. Got to throw in Crocker there as well. The crazy teacher at school that was like so obsessed finding out about like Timmy's fairies and who they are and just trying to capture them. Like, he was a whole nut job at school. He was the big meme where he used to say Fairy Godparents, and he used to do that little dance that you guys always saw him do. And then you got like Jorgen Von Strangle. He was pretty much like the big honcho where it's like, okay, you got to make sure you follow these rules, otherwise there's going to be consequences. Like, he was always the kind of guy that made sure everything was in order. So Fairly OddParents had a lot of cool characters. And one of the things I do want to say, like, when it comes to like Fairly OddParents as a whole, especially watching it as a kid, when I was watching Timmy Turner having Fairly OddParents of his own, it made me want to have Fairly OddParents, where I was like at home, didn't really have anybody to talk to, and then all of a sudden I had like two Fairly Odd Parents appear like Cosmo and Wanda did, and that I was able to have fun with them, build a relationship with them, have a little family with them, you know, like a little family type relationship with them, like that little dynamic. And I was able to like grant certain wishes I wanted. Like that's something I always wanted. I always thought it was like so cool that Timmy was able to do that. Obviously I would make sure to play by the book, so I'm not breaking any rules that's in the rule book, but I always wanted like Fairly Odd Parents of my own. It's like one of those things that you happen to think of like as a kid, as you're like watching a show where you're like, oh my god, this character can do this, like I really want to do that. That's pretty much like the whole feeling that I had with that. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys in the comments could probably relate to that as well when it comes to like wanting like Fairly Odd Parents of your own. It just seems like a really cool thing to have, because it's like, okay, not only could they like grant wishes and stuff like that, which wouldn't be the only reason why I would have them around. I don't want to make it seem like I only want them just because they grant wishes. It would also just be nice just to build a relationship with them, like I said before, you know, having like a family kind of relationship where it's like, okay, I have like these two people that I'm very close to, that I can always socialize all the time and have fun. Like that's another thing that like I would absolutely love if I ever did have Fairly Odd Parents of my own. But overall, those are my thoughts on the series. Like I'm really happy that I have the opportunity today to talk about Fairly Odd Parents with you guys, because it's one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, especially when it came to a lot of the cartoons that I watched from Nickelodeon. So I definitely had to make a video talking about it on the channel. So if you guys have any thoughts on Fairly Odd Parents when it comes to your favorite moments in the show, or when it comes to favorite characters, or how you guys personally got into Fairly Odd Parents, be sure to let me know all your thoughts on that in the comment section down below, because I would absolutely love to hear it. And if you guys enjoy the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And if you guys want to follow your boy on social media, be sure to check out my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok. It is located in the description below. Be sure to click on that bell for notifications so you guys are notified whenever I upload a new video on the channel. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, whatever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.